9.
Business headlines on Dubai Eye 103.8.
With JAFSA, home of sustainability, innovation and global excellence. JAFSA, named Industrial and Sustainable Free Zone of the Year by Financial Times FDI magazine.
Right, let's look at the top business stories that are making headlines this morning. UAE employers planning to give 4% pay rises next year, according to new research from Mercer. That's the same as this year. More than a quarter of companies said that they were also looking to increase headcount.
Yeah, Ted Raful of Mercer told the Business Breakfast that healthcare and life sciences are getting the big bucks at the moment, but the salaries under the most pressure are for generic blue and white collar jobs such as logistics and accounting.
The first phase of Dubai Exhibition Centre's 10 billion dirham expansions kicked off in Expo City. That project will eventually see the Emirate able to hold double the large-scale exhibitions that it currently does.
Meanwhile, work has begun on Dubai's first air taxi vertiport at Dubai Airport, one of 4 locations that will eventually take air taxis as soon as next year.
US inflation rising to 2.6% last month, while core inflation staying steady at 3.3%.
Staying in the US, the Republican Party has retained control of the House of Representatives, giving it the so-called trifecta of Senate, House and White House. That will make it easier for the Trump administration to push through economic policies.
And global sales of luxury goods will fall 2% this year, according to the consultancy Bain. It's blamed weak demand in China, where sales are down 20%.
Property Pulse.
With Espas Real Estate. Think Dubai Real Estate. Think Espas Real Estate.
Talking real estate, in particular talking rents right now. Harris Hiscoe is Head of Leasing at Espas Real Estate. He's with us in the studio. Morning, Harris.
Good morning. Thanks for having me back.
We'll get on to where rents are headed in 2025 in a second. First of all, though, I just want to play a quick soundbite from Ted at Mercer, who was in that chair about an hour ago, talking about salaries, the other side of the rent coin, how much people earning to pay the rent. Do you want to pop some headphones on? They're just by your left-hand side there. Pop these on. Have a listen to Ted Raful, Career and Workforce Products Business Leader at Mercer for this region, talking about an increase in housing allowance.
We are expecting to see a pay increase of 4% at the median in the UAE. That said, what we've also seen is movement when it comes to other pay factors, such as housing allowances. We have about 20% of the companies that we surveyed that said they have increased their housing allowances. They've made adjustment to housing allowances. 20% isn't the majority of the market, but it is obviously some movement.
So some people, the lucky few, getting an increase in their housing allowance, but how far does it go? 2024, where have rents gone in Dubai?
I mean, in 2024, the rents have just continued to surge because, what we're seeing is there's a huge demand, the population's increasing, and of course there's a lot of people that have been renting previously that have now decided to become homeowners. So there's less and less properties on the market that are available to those that want to continue to rent. So that, the consistent the consistent demand for the properties and the lack of supply, the prices just continuing to rise.
Well, let's look at the headline number across Dubai, an average, and then we'll drill into which areas are most in demand and which ones perhaps remain affordable. Headline across Dubai, what would you say has been the increase in rents in 2024, Harris?
The increase in rents across the board, you could say, is around 20%.
Okay, that's a big number, isn't it?
A huge number, and in the luxury end of the market, we're seeing staggering increases of 100% and even 200% in some areas across the board. And like Emirates Living, for example, and Jumeirah Park, you're seeing closer to the 20%.
Okay, fine. So where's still affordable? If those areas, the luxury areas, have seen the biggest increases, where's the most affordability?
Affordability, what's happening is people are just moving further out of the city core. You're finding areas like Town Square in Meira as a perfect example, where the transaction volume's increasing by actually over 50%, but also the rent prices are only increased by about 12.5%. So that's where people are moving to, these adding 30 minutes onto their journey time and saving significant amounts in rental prices.
Okay, that's the story of 2024. Let's look forward to 2025. The hope among people who are renting at the moment, who don't want massive increases, is that there's all this new supply coming on board. These apartments and some villas are going to be ready. That'll increase supply and therefore rents will not go up as much. Maybe even come down, Harris. How true is that scenario?
Yes, it's certainly an interesting topic. I mean, for the amount of properties that's going to be hitting the market over the next 3 years is around an 88% increase over the next 3 years per annum. And only 9.5% of that is for villas. So the upward pressure on prices in villas we expect to see to remain consistent. However, the apartments is a different story. Most of the supply is apartments and from top to bottom of Dubai, spread out the whole of Dubai. So we're expecting that to see at least some consolidation in the rental prices.
Okay, so apartment rents you think could soften, perhaps even come down?
I mean, it'd be nice to see, yes, because, at the moment it's just been, rent increase after rent increase.
To what extent are we seeing people migrating even further north, going to places like Sharjah and Ajman to live because Dubai is becoming unaffordable?
They're not having to stretch that far yet. Like I say, these areas like Town Square, Mira, Al Fajan's another fantastic option. Just adding 10, 15 minutes onto the journey time's more than enough to save, half the price on rent almost.
What about this issue with the two-tier market? Brandy and I were talking about it earlier on, that you often have people in the same tower block in Business Bay or Deer or wherever it may be, and the person living in 3404 is paying 100,000 and the person on the floor above in 3505 is paying 200,000, simply because the person on the floor below has been there 5 years and is on a legacy rent. Are we still seeing that?
It's fewer and fewer. We can even see that reflected in the percentages of renewals are down by around 25% as well. So less and less people are renewing and choosing to buy because, those that are paying the 100,000 might have only been paying 60,000 at one point. So they're still being pushed out of the areas, these key areas.
You say people are choosing to buy, and that's great to see, people getting on the housing ladder, but it's still the majority, by far the majority of expatriates living in Dubai rent their home, is it not?
Absolutely, yeah. Huge portion, you're right.
Because it's not cheap to buy property here, and you need at least a 30% down payment, don't you, to buy a property here once you factor in the fees.
Exactly. So if you're not if you're not in a position to buy, then that's what you're doing. You're renting further out in these other areas. Yeah.
And are people buying there as well? Are those deals still happening in these more affordable areas? You mentioned Town Square, you can rent there. You can also buy there.
That's right, yeah, we're seeing on both sides of the market as many people buying as renting over in areas like Town Square, yeah.
What are you seeing in terms of new people coming into Dubai? At Espace, the kind of people who are calling you saying, just moved here looking for a one-bed apartment or four-bed villa for my family, whatever it may be. Who are those phone calls coming from?
As like a demographic,
yes.
Mostly it's from the UK and Europe. We're seeing a lot of Germans coming in now as well. The story they're telling us is less and less ROI on the properties in Germany, so a lot of people are liquidating and moving here.
But they're moving here and they're buying here or they're renting here?
Usually pretty much everyone you could say rents for the first year and a half. And then choose to buy thereafter if they're in a position. Okay,
so let's talk about hotspots then. Affordable places. People are driving to work this morning, listening to this and thinking, okay, where can I get a nice place to live that's relatively affordable? You're an insider, you know the market well. I want a 2-bed apartment. Where can I get something that's nice but affordable in Dubai at the moment? Where would you direct me?
I would direct you just the other side of Emirates Living in Jumeirah Park. Al Fajan's a key area. People are moving now from Springs, Marina, Greens and Views, and they're heading towards Al Fajan. And it's only 5 kilometres away from these hotspots that we're all used to living in.
And what am I going to be paying for my 2-bedroom apartment to rent it in Al Fajan at the moment?
Al Fajan, a 2-bedroom apartment, you could pick something up around 95 to 105,000, which is around the price of a 1-bedroom in the Marina and Greens and Views at the moment.
Good to hear. Harris, thanks very much indeed for joining us today. Appreciate your time this morning. The thoughts of Harris Hiscoe, Head of Leasing at Espace Real Estate. The guys at Espace, you're doing tag team today. You're doing it WWE style, aren't you? You're going out of the ring and joining us in the ring. Brandy Scott, who have you got in about 5 minutes' time? You've got Jake, haven't you, who's sitting in the green room patiently waiting.
Well, you've got Jake, who's sitting in the green room patiently waiting, chatting to him about what we've seen sales-wise in October this year. Any questions, as always, 4001 04871 5500. We are talking property for another 15 minutes here on the Business Breakfast.
Dubai Eye 103.8 traffic.
With Yas Island Abu Dhabi. Stay at iconic hotels and play at record-breaking theme parks. Book now on yasisland.com.
Right then. It's not that bad on the roads today, to be honest. It's busy in the usual places. You've got Sheikh Zayed Road very, very slow moving by the marina on your left-hand side, so heading towards Mall of the Emirates. But to be honest, it's about a 1 kilometre tailback, and it's slow moving, not at a standstill. If you've got any updates, as ever, we'd love to hear from you. If it's safe, get in touch. Brandy and I are here for the next hour and 15 minutes or so.
Dubai Eye 103.8 traffic.
Right, bit of a reminder about something else that we are doing shortly. On the 22nd of November, we're going to be holding a workshop with the guys from Virtue Zone. We're going to be doing it in a great location as well, Maidan Racecourse. So you turn up, you get to find out everything you need to know, ask all the questions about everything from tax to business licensing to the money involved, the A to VZ, as they're saying at Virtue Zone. Then you get to stick around for a bit of F&B and the races. Events.virtuezone.com for more.
Weather check.
With Air Arabia, explore Vienna, Maldives, Warsaw, Baku, Tashkent, Moscow.